I do have a question if I might.
I got one more bit.
Okay.
And I'll just take a couple of minutes to, but I do want to talk about the third part of the tripod. And that is, because you've heard about kind of the marketing, but it's really more than marketing, what Judy does. It's education, it's communication, the real understanding of what this stuff is. And then also working with the people who actually do the installations. Again, it's more than training, it's the whole realm of the people doing the work. And you heard in both of their cases, relationships. But the third piece now is business. And I've left a couple copies at every table, and we will put on the website for the initiative this little document which comes from the State Energy Office, showing that there are about 4 million houses in North Carolina. About 3% of them, or about 120,000, last year took advantage of this tax credit to fix up their houses. And so we think that maybe, probably everybody needs to do this work. And if you look at over the next 20 years, if we do that in a kind of rotating basis, you can triple the number of homes that would get this. And again, we call it weatherization. Weatherization is a term that's associated with a low-income program, and that needs to continue and grow. But the other piece is that the skills that have been learned in weatherization and that these guys have are valuable across the board, and there's a market for this. And so that means $70 million a year in work that needs to happen. And $70 million is a nice number, but what that means is, I think I left the number over there, but it's some large number of projects across the state. The number I can give you specifically is in Greensboro, we have what's called the Build Better grant. There's about 4 communities in the state that have it. We're getting $5 million from the federal government. It is to match against $25 million. That means in Greensboro, in the next 3 years, there's going to be $30 million worth of work. $30 million worth of work is 3,600 homes. That's 100 houses a month that need to get, quote, weatherized, need to get energy retrofits. And so there's a business here, and what the business requirement here is that you need somebody to do the marketing, to work with, maybe somebody like Judy and groups that she will develop. They need to hire people. They need to do training. They need to go to Asheville, and hire some of their guys and build a staff. And then thirdly, they've just got to put together the contract and manage the work. And again, these are things that it seems to me CDCs can do. And so that, in terms of managing projects, you need to understand the financing that gets involved with these things. There are loans that are available, low interest loans, long-term loans that make this affordable. At the same time, you've got to have an inventory, some stock of insulation and caulk and weather stripping and tools and blower doors and all this stuff. And so there's a capital requirement for you. It's a business. And you need to know where your financing is going to come from. At the end of the day, there's quality assurance that you have to, the most important thing is as this work goes out and people start to understand what this is about, that there have to be good work that gets done. The first bad job that happens kills it for everybody. Right? And you guys know this. You've been through this process with new housing. You know the field. And there is funding. So first of all, if you're in Greensboro, Charlotte, Chapel Hill, or Carborough, right now all 4 of those cities have what's called Building Better grants. So the $5 million we got, the other 3 cities got money as part of a consortium, Southeast Consortium. So all 4 of those cities are now developing programs to ramp up. The original name of this program was to ramp up. But it's also the case that every city that had what was called energy efficiency and conservation block grants, there's a new kind of block grant in town. It's an energy block grant. And Asheville, Durham, some of the cities have already started to put their money towards these projects. But any city that is an entitlement city, and so the entitlements for energy go down, you know, I forget how many entitlement cities there are for community development block grants, but there's many more cities. The population number, high point in our area is a city that has this money. This year, a few number of the cities, like Durham, put their money into retrofits like this. But this is a program that is meant to continue on like the city block grant program. And so you might want to be in touch with your local government, see if there are an entitlement city, and say, next year when you do this, you know, watch what's happening in Durham and Asheville and Greensboro and Charlotte and Chapel Hill and Carrboro, because we can do that. And the idea here is, what's different about these programs is that the weatherization program was dependent on being a grant program. Low-income people could not afford to just even spend $500 for their house. But across the board, you know, if people look to borrow $1,000 and that $1,000 generates a savings of $30 a month, then that means they can pay $25 a month on a bill and still be money ahead. Now that's a concept that is foreign to people in houses. It's not foreign to the university system. It's not foreign to businesses. It's called performance contracts. And it's a standard way of doing energy business. But it's a learning that people are going to have. And so the point of all of this is that there is a business out there. And we're hoping that this group can be really the key to that business development.